Hi guys, it's Belle here. So today we're going to have just a bit of an easy video and we're going to do a bit of a collage, create a bit of a masterboard and just have a little bit of a chat and do some crafting. So you can craft along with me. So normally when I see people make masterboards, often we use book pages. I have done that before in a video if you want to check that out. It's in my autumn one where I was doing an altered book, so I'll link that down below. But we often use book pages or a piece of just paper, plain paper. But I had this in my stash. It's just normal packing paper, brown paper. It does have this little perforated bit, which is great because I'm just going to tear this off. And I thought, you know what, let's use this because my thinking is we're going to use some thicker pieces. Now, normally, again, with masterboards, you can do multimedia masterboards with paints and texture paste and all that thing. We might do some of that. I don't know, we might add some of that. A lot of people use digital papers, but I do know that a lot of people don't have access to digital papers or don't necessarily want to use digital papers. You might be coming from a different craft and so you might have a lot of scrapbook papers. So I have these little packs absolutely full of little bits of Halloween papers. I hope you can see that. I'm filming in a slightly different position today. I am actually cat sitting for my daughter's cat. So this is very weird and I can't see the camera. So we are going to be crafting and just making a masterboard. So let's get started. Going to need some glue, some good glue. And the reason I thought this would be good is because scrapbook paper tends to be thicker, especially thicker than digital papers. This, normally I would back, say if I was using a book page, I would put the thinner paper on top to make the masterboard. Then I would back it with tea-dyed papers and things. But this will work perfectly as a backing and we don't have to add any. The downside to that for me is the fact that, oh, that's so cute, that I'm not really going to be able to stitch. So there is that. So I'm just going to get a load of scraps. We're making a Halloween-y type one because it's coming up to that season and I have run out of Halloween masterboard. So I do always try and have masterboard nearby just for those projects. Sorry, I'm just looking at bits. Just for those projects that might require some quick ephemera. So let's get started. I don't know if I want to use that one. That's so cute. That could be used in something else. And we have all these scraps too. So it's really up to you where you start. Let's see if you can actually see all those scraps on camera. Okay, so you can. So I'm going to start with this piece. I'm obviously going to trim it because it's got this hole in it and we don't need that. And then we're going to decide what side we want it on. So I quite like the black and white side because I like black and white stripes. So let's just get started and start putting some bits on here. Excuse me. I'm not even going to think about it too much. Oh gosh, I am sorry if that was loud. I do not know why I am coughing. Yeah, so we're just gonna use it. I mean, that would be great even to use that on there because it could give you something interesting to look at. So let's do that where we can put the flower. We could even have it half on, half off and put something different behind it, like the spiders, like so. That feels too much. Just put a bit of purple behind it like that. Okay, let's do that. I'm not even inking, you can see. I might ink some pieces. We will have to wait and see. So I hope you are all doing well. I just wanted to do a nice easy project here. As I said, I am cat sitting for my daughter at the moment. She is off on a cruise. Very nice too. And I am down making sure her fur baby is okay. Which means, because she lives, you know, over an hour away from me and stuff, which means I have to bring my craft supplies with me. Well, I mean, I bring one tiny suitcase. I'm here for almost a week. I bring one tiny suitcase full of like clothes and things that I need for that. And then the rest of my car, literally all of it, was filled up with craft supplies. I mean, seriously. I've brought everything that I could possibly think of. And yet, even when I got here, it was like, oh, I could have really done with bringing Nat with me too. So yeah, the car was just packed with everything I could think of, mainly my Halloween and spooky crafts because it's getting to that season. But yeah, but it's really lovely where she lives, so I've been out for a few walks, picked up some leaves because it's that time of year, also picked up some conkers, so that's been really good. I do like conkers. You can see I'm really not thinking about this much at all, and I'm doing it in sort of straight lines, I want to say. That's a lot of dark, that's black and white, but I kind of like that there. I'm doing it in straight lines rather than worrying too much. We do have this large black and white as well. I could just put here and then build around it. So yes, just making a bit of a collage masterboard. I thought I'd come on and do it with you guys and have a bit of a chat. See how you all are. Yeah, we had such a busy week last week, and if you've watched my Marguerite Miller collage this week, you will know that one of the reasons it was busy was because my youngest son graduated from university. He got a first, so we had his graduation, which was a huge deal. I think I said in that video that here in the UK, you don't graduate unless you have actually graduated from university, got a degree. You don't have a graduation ceremony. I know in other parts of the world, you tend to graduate quite a bit, or it seems to be. This is actually not scrapbook paper, but that's okay. Yeah, you tend to graduate for a lot of different reasons, but that is not the case here in the UK. So that being said, when someone does graduate, it is a huge deal. So we had that. That was amazing. Super proud of him for getting a first, and he has now started his masters at the same university. So he will be working hard as well. We also moved my other son into university. So he moved in a few days before my youngest graduated. That son is neurodivergent, so it was a huge, I mean, this just isn't gluing very well. That's okay. That doesn't bother me. There's things we can do about that. So it is a huge what's the word I'm looking for? Achievement for him to actually have been able to get it into university. So he is older than his younger brother, but you know, it's been a longer journey for him, and so it's super special. So we moved him in, which is a huge change for all of us, especially him. So yeah, there was that. And then we were just busy the rest of the week with lots of different things. Went to a Christmas market. I know guys, all right. I will talk more about that in a different video, but yeah, we went to the Christmas market, and then, which we'd never heard of before, so we drove to that. I just love spider web. You can see I'm using quite big pieces here too, because, you know, we are trying to fill this up quickly. Yeah, we went to that. Also went and saw, went and saw the new Kenneth Branagh Hercule Poirot movie. Went and saw that. So I'm not going to spoil it because I don't know if you guys want to see it or whatever, but anyone who may have been following me for a while will know that I am a huge, massive Agatha Christie fan. Have been since I was a teenager, and have read all her work. The only thing I have not read yet is the Mousetrap play. And the reason for that is because I don't want it spoiled for when I go and see it, which in all my life so far, I've never gone and seen it. But I want to see it this year because it's the 70th anniversary. Anyway, that's the only thing I have not read of Agatha Christie's. So, if you don't know, the new movie by Kenneth Branagh is based on the Poirot short novel, Poirot's Halloween. But they've changed it to make it a haunting in Venice, and they really have gone all out for the spooky haunty vibes, which, you know, it's that time of year, why not? That's what I say. So obviously I went to see it on the first day, and got all dressed up because I like to make an occasion of it. Well, I don't mean I got dressed up fancy, I mean like I decided to go in like an autumnal dress that has a very 50s style to it, and took my little autumn bag and everything like that because, you know, make an occasion, guys, make an occasion of your experiences. That's what I say. And yeah, we went and saw it. And oh my gosh, so as a standalone movie, I'm just gonna say I really enjoyed it as a standalone movie. But as an Agatha Christie fan, I'm just going to say there were a few issues with it for me. A few issues. And I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I really did enjoy the movie. I really, really did. It was good. It had spooky vibes. It, you know, it's supposed to be set on Halloween because it is in the book. I will say, if you have read Poirot's Halloween Party, there is so much different with this movie. First of all, it's the murder's slightly different. There's different characters, and I suppose the biggest thing is it's set in Venice, which the original movie is not set in Venice. It is set in a little town in England. And the whole thing's different. Like, they've added bits to it, like about the garden and the children's party. That's some of the main parts of the book itself. And I was really interested to see, there is a reoccurring character. Again, if you know Poirot, you'll know who this is. There is a reoccurring character in the Agatha Christie novels, and she does appear in the Halloween Party. In fact, she's the one in the book that calls Poirot and says, I really think you need to come here. I think something funny's going on. And so I was wondering if they would include her in the movie. I think I'm going to change my glue. And they did. But I'm just going to say it, guys. I don't know how I feel about it, because not only did they change, like, she's meant to be English and of a certain age, and they changed that, and they made her much younger, and they made her American, which, you know, I have no problem with that. But she is such an iconic character that I don't know how I feel about the changes, if I'm being honest. And then there were other changes. Again, I don't want to spoil it, so you would have to watch it. But there are other changes that are so different from the book itself. Oh, I just love stripes, me, especially if it's got a bit of sparkle. That are so different from the book itself that I just, I don't know. And then there's something that's said to Poirot, which is actually quite hurtful. And also fundamentally untrue if you've read any of the books. So I don't know how I feel about that. And then to move the plot along to sort of introduce a plot point that needed to then be followed up, they made Poirot do something in that movie that I know full well, under no circumstances would Poirot, I'm going to turn this over and do it from this side, have ever have done. Ever. Like, there's no way. For several reasons. So, I don't know how I feel about that either. Now, I think if you were going to watch it and you weren't the biggest, like, Christie fan, you weren't the biggest, like, Poirot fan, you know, what I mean by that is, like, you weren't a die-hard fan, you just kind of enjoyed some of Agatha Christie's work, had read a little bit here and there, and things like that, I think you'd really enjoy this movie. I really think people would. I think it had all the spooky vibes that it needed. I think it was interesting, you know, all that kind of good stuff, fine. But I would love to know, I really would love to know, let me know down below, if any of you are huge Christie fans, especially Poirot, and have seen the movie. Let me know what you think, because I would be interested to see what other really, like, diehard Christie Poirot fans think of it. They did change the murder a little bit. It was really interesting because they had a character in it who is mentioned in the book quite a lot, but we never actually meet in the book. So I found that really intriguing, actually, that they had included that character and given them more of a role, I suppose. I guessed it all like within the first few minutes, but that's probably only because, one, I know the book, and two, I kind of know how Agatha Christie's mind works. So anyway, I still had a great time. Even with all I'm saying, I would still give it a good 4 out of 5. The setting was beautiful. I have been to Venice, and I actually went in November. So this is set end of October, and I went in an early November when I went, yeah. And I can tell you, I recognised that weather. Let's put it that way. I was like, yeah, and that brings back memories. So you can see I'm just placing things. Really, don't think too hard when you're doing collages, because you can get too caught up. And you can always add more, which we will be doing. So, yeah, so I definitely recognised the weather. That did make me chuckle. And yeah, it was a good time. I gave it 4 out of 5. But the more I'm thinking about it, and I mean, I know that Halloween book, like, almost off by heart. I'm going to be honest, it's not one of my favourite Poirot's. It's also not one of my favourite Agatha Christie's. There is a lot of problems with the original book. About half of the book, Christie spends far too much time. Oh, that got caught on there. That's all right. We will cover it up on the masterboard. Discussing things that were of their time, shall we say, about mental illness. And that really always makes me give that book a really low rating and not enjoy those. And as someone who's read it multiple times, because it's Agatha Christie, I tend to skip over those parts and just try and enjoy the actual rest of the book, shall we say. So anyway, so there are those problems with it, which, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I can find that a bit much. But anyway, so it's not my favourite, which is fine. You know, we all have differences. But I know that book really well. So, I don't know. I loved the atmosphere, as always, as the other two that Kenneth Branagh did. They were beautifully shot. Beautifully. But I think I still prefer, even though, again, they changed around with it, Death on the Nile. I think that was my favourite, like, that he has directed and created so far. You can tell he has a theatrical background just because, yeah. I'm just getting all these scraps out. My table is now an absolute mess, but that is okay. Let's have some bats on here, shall we? This one I'm actually going to use my guillotine to trim because it's wonky in all sorts of places. So anyway, yeah, there is that. So let me know what you think, but it is worth going to see if you just want like some classic spooky vibes that aren't too spooky. And I was wondering how they were going to play that, like how they were going to do the spook factor, because in the clips they really make it seem as if there's a lot more of a supernatural element than there is in the book. So yeah, it was very, very good. That's what I'm saying. And then as if like, and then on the complete opposite spectrum, I have just recently finished, because this year I'm working my way through the Miss Marple book, reworking my way through Miss Marple. And so I just finished book 10, and that is a Caribbean mystery, which again, unfortunately, has a few issues. Not as many actually as it could have, considering the time period, but still, you know, we just have to be honest about things like this because they're of an age, and most of them have been rewritten now, thankfully. But the copies I have tend to be very old copies that I collected as a teenager, so they have sentimental value. And the new copies they brought out have the most beautiful covers and have obviously been, you know, made more correct. But I don't want to purchase all those, because if I was to repurchase my Agatha Christie's, it would cost me a small fortune. So I'm not doing that. But do I want that up there? No, it covers a lot of that. So anyway, that is that. I've just finished the Caribbean mystery, as I said, which actually I really like. It's interesting because Miss Marple often doesn't leave England. You know, that's one of the main differences I hear people say is, one, they like Miss Marple because they like the old lady, and, you know, she's very clever, and the way she's able to do things. And also, Christie really doesn't hide away from Miss Marple's aging and how that affects how she's able to then solve crimes and things. And one of my main issues with Miss Marple's books is that in some of them, she's barely in them. Like, she might be in for, like, out of the 200-page book, she might only be in it for maybe 30 pages. And I think that's a waste, because I love Miss Marple. And in the Caribbean mystery, she is in it all the way through. And it's unusual to see her in a different setting that's abroad. And she even comments on the fact that, you know, if she was back in England, in St Mary Mead, she would have people around who could help her, who would believe her, who would be able to do certain things. She'd be able to call and the police know her and stuff. But here out in this Caribbean island, no one knows her really. They just see her as this doddering old lady. And she has to think of a way to get someone to help her who would believe her. So I really like the fact that Christie doesn't like shy away from aging in that way. I think that's clever. But Poirot was always my favourite. I know it's very, you tend to love one or the other. I'm going to be honest, I love most of her characters. Tommy Tuppence, Parker Payne, Mr. Quinn, you know, they're all good. But Poirot was always my favourite. But I'm on my reread of the Miss Marple mysteries, and I really enjoyed this one because she was in it more. I mean, we love Miss Marple. So like it always does disappoint me when I'm reading one of her books and she's not really in it. So anyway, so yeah, go and see Haunting in Venice, and then just finished. So that was a lot of Miss Marple and Agatha Christie talk, and if you are not interested, then you are probably bored out of your mind. But I did say this was a collage and chat video, so you know, it is what it is. So anyway, and yeah, I just felt like sitting down, crafting with you guys and chatting a little bit because, as I said, I am cat sitting and wanting a bit of just to do something without too much thought. So we are doing this. This is almost complete. You can see I am just using all my scraps. Masterboards can be so intricate and beautifully detailed, and I have made some of those before, but I also just love them because they're a great way to use up scraps. And I think sometimes when we craft, we can get carried away with overthinking things, or it gets too complicated and it can put people off. I did have someone say recently, after watching one of my journals, that, you know, she loved the journal, but that it was slightly intimidating because they thought that they could never kind of create a journal like that. And I did say to the person, you know, when I started making journals, I wasn't making journals like that, you know. It comes with time and you finding your own style, as it were, and building up your stash and just seeing what works for you. And I do think sometimes when we see some crafts, I know I do sometimes I look at some people and go, oh my gosh, that is the most amazing thing, and I would never be able to recreate that. But you can still take away tips and tricks from it, you know, and we can always learn, even if we feel like, well, I wouldn't be able to make that exactly. There's always something you can learn. But it did make me think that sometimes we just need some simple crafts too. We just need a time where we can sit down and we think, I want to craft, but I don't want to make anything too, you can see that's got glue all over it now. That's not going to bother me, and I'll show you why in a minute, although my fingers have got glue over me and that's bothering me. Yeah, we can just sit down and craft and do something simple because you can always add to it. This is the thing. What I love about masterboards is that you can just add to them. You can just, look, that's going to fit there perfectly. You can think, okay, so I really love this, but now I want to add something more on top. So we're doing a basic base, which is now complete, I believe. Sorry, I'm sitting at a really awkward angle. And so we've got the basic masterboard. Let's turn it over. Like I said, this is going to act as perfect backing. So I'm just going to rub this all down as much as possible. But again, because this is a spooky masterboard, I don't mind if things aren't perfect. I quite like a few wrinkles and things. You know, as with people, wrinkles on your craft tell a story. So that doesn't bother me too much. Anyway, let's just, I have got scraps everywhere. So what I thought we could also do is, I've got this bag of washi, so I thought let's add some washi to it because, you know, a lot of us have washi, but we don't always use it. Now, I have to be honest, I do use washi quite a bit, but not as much as I should. So I'm just going to grab some of my washis. These are just simple ones, and I am going to add these. I am going to add glue to them because they're going already onto thick card, and this is a great way to cover up seams and things that you might not like, is to add some washi. I'm just going to put that down, and again, it's nice and simple. Use what you've got, and you can see I'm not cutting these ones, I am ripping them because I don't mind that the washi might look a bit different. So that just adds another element. What I would say though, if you were going to add washi, make sure, gosh, washi's rolling. My washies are rolling away, guys. Make sure if you do add washi that you stick it down well and that you allow it to dry, because if you try and cut this masterboard whilst it's still wet, things are going to pull up and it's just going to be a bit of a nightmare. So anyway, so that's what I've been doing. I went to the cinema, did a few other things as well, but then I had to come to my daughter's and yeah, I was hoping to get more craft done. It is getting to October, so that means October daily, and it means my advent that I do with my two friends, Sarah and Anna. Again, there are playlists on my, let's change it up, let's do a little bit of different washi. This is some Tim Holtz that I've got. There are playlists on my channel for my October dailies and for my advents, if you haven't checked those out already. So October, to be honest, is my busiest month on my craft channel. It always is. It is, and it's exciting, but it's also very hectic. So I'm going to add some over there too. And you can layer up your washies, you know, just play with it, just see what you like. When you cut these all up anyway, you're like, things aren't going to be all together, so that's always fun, working out where things are going to go. Some of this one, I think I want a brighter one. It would be nice, oh, I was going to say it'd be nice if I had some purple. I do have some purple dotty, so let's use that. So yeah, get your washi out if you've got washi. If you don't have washi, you don't have to use it. You could just keep adding a few more strips of something that you like. So yeah, that's what I always try and say, and I know a lot of crafters do. Say, use what you've got, guys. Have a look around, see what's in your craft room. Again, it will depend how long you have been crafting. Some of us have been crafting, oh look, there's some sparkly, let's add some sparkly. Some of us have been crafting a very, very, very long time. I have been crafting for over 30 years. Cross stitch, cards, scrapbooks, and finally now I have found my favourite craft. Oh, pocket letters. I've found my favourite craft, which is journals. And one of the reasons I love junk journals is that all those other crafts that I have done in my life, I can now do that in my junk journals. You know, I add cross stitch or stitching, either with sewing machine or hand stitching. When you've done card making and scrapbooking, there's always skills that you pick up doing those crafts. And it also means I have some stuff that I have had many, 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 many years. I've been collecting things. I have got rid of more stuff than I have ever owned, than I own now. And obviously things change, like with journaling. Obviously I started collecting vintage books and things so that I can use journals, and I hadn't really used tea stain paper before. And it's all about building that up and getting the skills and starting small. I want this over here, so that, you know, just start and work out your style. There are different kinds of journals. There are junk journals. There are very in-depth art journals. There are so many types of journals out there, guys, and there are so many creators on YouTube making so many different types of journals. I tend to make quite detailed big journals because that's what I like. So but that doesn't mean you guys need to. So we've done that, we've had our scraps, and then I pulled these out. These are from, again, it's in my scrap stash, so I'm going to have a look at some of these. I'm not going to use all of them, but I thought it might be quite good fun. Like that pumpkin is going to look so cute. That's actually, I think, done by my friend So it's that ghosty. I might put that on there. We've got that little moon face. These are just bits and bobs, stickers, random bits. That little Halloween thing will go on there quite well. And what I'm thinking in my head is, oh, we've got some, I do like putting, right, we might get some of those out because I don't know. I do like putting stamped images and things like that on, because again, it uses the things up. So this is all just random bits and bobs that I was looking at, and I thought, okay, let's see what I can put on the masterboard. I'm not going to put too much on it because when you then come to decorate it, a lot of stuff's going to get covered anyway. Let's get this back on here. So we've got this moon, so I could put the moon. We've got my little ghosty that my friend made. That's quite cute. We have this little thing. That would go quite cute down there, wouldn't it? Or somewhere over here maybe. Let's put the moon on for, unless we put it over here because it's bigger. My gosh, it is absolutely pouring with rain, guys. You can't see it where you are, but I am sitting opposite a window and it is torrential. I'm going to say that we had such a heat wave last week in this country, in the UK. It was ridiculous how hot it got, and everyone was complaining because, you know, it's supposed to be coming up to autumn, and it was so hot, so hot, hotter than we've had all summer, I think. And so everyone was like, oh my gosh, you know, where's the weather gone to? And all of a sudden, in the last, I'd say 3 days, actually since I came to my daughter's, we suddenly had, the first night I was here, we had a full-on thunderstorm, guys. Full-on thunder over the house for, I'd say, nearly 3 hours or something. It was ridiculous how long it went on for. Absolutely ridiculous. And I was like, really? And I did notice, because she lives a bit further than me, I did notice actually that the leaves on the trees here were turning, you know, autumnal colours, and down my way, like, that had barely even begun, and all her conkers have fallen round here, and ours haven't where I am. So that was interesting. And since being here, it's been grey skies and rain. So I would say autumn is here, or almost here, which is lovely because, you know, I'm an autumn girly. I love me some autumn. That little ghost looks so cute. So yeah, I think these were hand drawn by my friend Anna, and she always sends me like her little artwork on things, and then I tend to, if it's on packaging, I tend to pull it off and keep it so that I can use it in my projects. She did used to have an Etsy shop, but unfortunately she no longer does. You can add stamped images. So we've got this bat. It's in a blue though, but that's okay, like a grey blue dyed paper. So we have got this bat that I can just kind of add, which I might do, just add it there. See what I mean, guys? You just layer up. You do the background, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy, and then you come in and you layer up. And I do like using stamped images and things, because again, it's another way to use your stamps up. So yeah, and these are Tim Holtz stamps, so we've got that. I've got like this cute little spider's web. Yes, I said cute. Because it's that time of year, so all of a sudden spiders become cute. We could put it down there like that. That's too near that stamped image, even though it would come off, like it wouldn't be on the stamped image. I'm going to put it over there. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to. I'd love to know what you guys have been up to. Are you in full autumn mood now? You know, I've been getting ready for autumn for since July. Yeah, so a bit of spookiness. Love me a bit of spookiness. That is actually upside down, but again, it doesn't matter, because when you turn bits around, it really doesn't matter. We've got this little skull as well, which I was wondering if I wanted the skull on here. I've got the skull in green too, so let's just rip this just to give it a little bit of interest, and then I think we will be completely done. But yeah, I can't believe how much it's raining. Like, it's crazy. I told my daughter she's not going to want to come home because she right now is in a very hot, lovely place, and it's awful here. So yeah, stay where you are. But no, she has to come home. I know there's a lot here, like a lot of other images, but again, when you cut it, it's going to not matter so much. And in case you don't know, because you might be new, so welcome if you are, and new to crafting as well. When you make masterboards, they're great for lots of different things. They're great to make into tags. They're great to cut down and make into journaling cards. They're great to use as pockets in your journals. They're great just for that little extra bit of ephemera that you may want to make. So this was a nice simple one. Sorry if you've been a bit bored with the chat, but I did say it was going to be chatty. And again, if you've been on my channel for any length of time, you know my chat's going to get a bit all over the tangent and end up probably on about books, my other passion. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you think down below, and don't forget, get out your scraps and your bits and bobs. Again, this is Halloween, but the exact same technique will work for any types of scrapbook paper. And I just thought it would be nice because this is a really good thickness. So if this was cut down, it's already backed. So if you get brown paper packaging, maybe it's tied up with string, maybe it's containing some of your favorite things. Anyway, yeah, if you've got some brown paper packaging, or you can use book pages, or you can use proper paper, but I just wanted to use this up and then save my tea stain paper if I want to make this into ephemera. That's it for now, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this weird, chatty, random video, but I will be back again very soon. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, because it really helps. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having lots and lots of crafty fun. Bye for now.